I want you to imagine trying to plan a highly secure, globally broadcast summit meeting.
Right.
But now, instead of, a few hundred diplomats sitting quietly in a single room, imagine you have to coordinate the movement of tens of millions of deeply passionate face-painted delegates.
Oh, man, the visual on that is wild.
Right. And you have to move them across an entire continent, like synchronized down to the exact minute for 39 days straight.
It's a staggering logistical cliff face.
Exactly. And that is the sheer mind-blowing reality we are looking at today when we examine the raw data for the 2026 World Cup. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me. I mean, the math of this event completely shatters traditional event planning models.
Oh, completely.
You're expanding the roster to 48 teams and distributing the matches simultaneously across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. You are no longer just organizing a sports tournament at that point.
No, you're really not.
You were essentially standing up a temporary multinational logistical state.
A temporary state. I love that framing. But, let's pause and look at the actual scope of what we're unpacking here, because the numbers are almost hard to visualize.
Yeah, they really are.
We are looking at a master blueprint for an event that has officially slapped the label of grandest in history onto itself. And that's entirely due to that jump to 48 participating nations.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack this. The mission for us today in this deep dive is to tear down the facade of this being just a series of soccer games.
Because it's so much more than that.
Exactly. We need to look at the skeletal structure underneath, the unprecedented continental footprint, the brutal chronological compression of the agenda, and the sheer physics of pulling this off.
And, if you're tuning in and wondering why you should care if you aren't even a big sports fan, well, this is basically a masterclass in global logistics.
Oh, 100%.
If we look purely at the mechanics of adding 16 extra teams to the traditional 32-team model, the complexity doesn't just increase linearly.
Yeah, it compounds.
It compounds exponentially. When the organizers claim this is the grandest tournament, they are pointing to a massive expansion of the Parian.
The Parian, right.
Yeah, that's the term in the source text for the celebration, the global celebration. But the underbelly of that Parian is, well, it's a supply chain and infrastructure nightmare that the host nations have to solve in real time.
I want to push back hard on that word grandest, though.
Oh, how so?
Well, the raw data clearly ties that historic title to the number 48. But does bloating the guest list automatically elevate the prestige of the celebration?
That's a fair question.
Or does it just, dilute the talent pool and completely clog the transit hubs? I mean, think about it like a dinner party.
Okay, I'm tracking.
Imagine upgrading a dinner party from an intimate gathering to a massive banquet where you don't even know half the guests' dietary restrictions.
Right.
You aren't just inviting 11 players per country. The physical reality of 48 teams is huge.
Oh, it's not even close to just 11 guys. For
Yeah.
every single one of those 48 nations, you are importing a massive, highly specialized ecosystem.
Exactly.
You have the full athletic squad, obviously, but then the coaching staff, the medical personnel, the specialized sports scientists.
Don't forget the media.
Yes, the dedicated national media pools. Plus, each of those 48 teams requires a dedicated FIFA-grade base camp.
Wait, 48 distinct camps?
Yes, that means securing 48 distinct high-performance training facilities, 48 secured luxury hotel buyouts, and coordinating 48 distinct security details before a single fan even clears a customs checkpoint.
Wow, so the grandness is actually just sheer density. It's a density problem.
What's fascinating here is that it's a density problem that fundamentally alters the competitive and geographical landscape.
How do you mean?
Well, in a smaller format, you have a concentrated cultural footprint, right? With 48 nations, you are drastically widening the aperture of global attention.
Because more countries are tuning in.
Exactly. You are bringing in countries, and by extension, massive populations of fans who might be participating in this specific global Parian for the very first time.
Oh, that makes sense.
The geopolitical footprint of the event expands massively. It becomes this monumental gathering of completely different cultures.
Okay, let's explore that footprint, because the data shows they couldn't even fit this expanded Parian inside a single sovereign nation.
Right, they had to break out of the borders.
Exactly. To accommodate 48 ecosystems, the map had to be blown wide open. The strategy they landed on is a simultaneous tri-nation hosting model. The United States, Canada, and Mexico.
Which is, we connect this to the bigger picture, where the concept of a unified event is going to be tested against the hard realities of international borders.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because how do you maintain a cohesive tournament vibe when your venues are spread across 3 entirely distinct sovereign nations?
It's tough. The data specifically notes that this is happening concurrently.
Right. Each with its own borders, its own law, its own cultures.
It is a distributed network model applied to a physical, real-world mega event.
And that distributed network sounds like an absolute nightmare for the end user, the fan.
Oh, completely.
Let's think about this from a user experience perspective. In a normal tournament, you fly into the host country, you figure out the train system, and you just follow your team.
Simple enough.
But here, you might be a fan who starts their week watching a group stage match in the high altitude of central Mexico.
Wait.
Then 4 days later, your team is scheduled to play in the coastal, temperate climate of a Canadian province.
And you aren't just changing jackets.
Exactly. You are navigating 3 entirely distinct federal aviation administrations.
You are interacting with 3 completely distinct national security apparatuses, 3 different customs and immigration protocols.
And 3 separate currencies.
Yes. The logistical friction of moving hundreds of thousands of international tourists across the NAFTA, the USMCA corridors within a matter of hours is just staggering.
It hurts my head just thinking about the paperwork.
Right. To make the tournament function, those 3 distinct sovereign nations have to essentially, temporarily, dissolve the friction at their borders for ticket holders.
Wait, dissolve the friction?
Yeah.
Are you saying these countries are going to have to alter their actual federal border policies just to make a soccer tournament work?
Wow.
Because I find it really hard to believe national security agencies are going to compromise their protocols for a sporting event.
No, they won't compromise security, but they absolutely have to innovate their processing velocity.
Okay, processing velocity. Give me an example.
Think of the airport infrastructure alone. If 50,000 fans need to move from Monterrey to Toronto in a 48-hour window, the standard commercial flight network cannot handle that load.
Obviously not.
You have to charter hundreds of specialized flights, and the customs clearance for those flights has to be pre-authorized.
How do they even do that?
Likely through massive integrated biometric databases shared between the US, Canada, and Mexico.
Oh, wow.
The agenda demands that movement happen flawlessly. If the transit network bottlenecks, the stadiums sit empty.
So the infrastructure basically has to act like a single seamless organism, even though it's built out of 3 very different national systems.
Exactly. It's unprecedented international cooperation.
That makes me think of the local impact, too. I mean, we're talking about dropping the population equivalent of a mid-sized city into an existing metropolitan area for exactly 48 hours.
And then just poof, extracting them and moving them 2,000 miles away.
Right.
The localized economic shocks are immense.
I can imagine.
We are looking at a model where hotel capacities, public transit grids, and even local food supply chains in the host cities are going to be pushed to like 100% utilization.
Or beyond 100%.
Yeah, or beyond. The required coordination is akin to a military logistical deployment.
That's a great way to put it.
You have to ensure that a city's cellular network doesn't just completely collapse when an extra 100,000 devices suddenly connect to the downtown towers simultaneously.
Oh, I didn't even think about the cell towers. That is nuts.
Oh.
Which perfectly transitions us into the terrifying math of the actual schedule.
Yes, the schedule.
Because we know where this sprawling continent-wide operation is happening.
Right, the 3 countries.
And we know who is involved with the 48 teams, but the raw source data also gives us the win.
And the win is tight.
Extremely tight. It's
Yeah.
a highly compressed, strictly defined window. June 11th to July 19th, 2026.
39 days.
Just 39 days.
It's wild.
39 days to process an entire continent's worth of athletic competition and international tourism.
Yep.
The phrase the data uses for the match schedule is the Jadwal Pertandingan.
Right, the Indonesian term for the match schedule.
Exactly. And looking at those dates, that Jadwal Pertandingan isn't just a calendar you hang on your wall.
No.
It is a brutal, unyielding chronometer that the entire operation is chained to.
The Jadwal Pertandingan is really the central algorithm of the entire event. Well, when you map 48 teams competing across 3 massive North American countries within exactly 39 days, the density of the agenda becomes mathematically intense.
I mean, just the sheer number of games.
Exactly. You have to stagger the games to maximize global broadcast rights.
Oh, because of the time zones.
Right. A match kicking off in Los Angeles has to be viewable for a market in Europe or Asia.
Right.
But simultaneously, you have to manage the physical recovery windows of the athletes.
Let's drill into that physical recovery window, actually, because that seems like the point where the mass just breaks down entirely.
It's definitely the bottleneck.
I mean, imagine you are an elite athlete. You play a grueling 90-minute match in the sweltering summer humidity of the American South.
In July.
In July.
Yeah.
And the Jadwal Pertandingen-driven dictates you have exactly 4 days before your next match.
Right.
But your next match is in a totally different climate, in a different country, across 3 time zones.
The physiological toll on the players is a massive variable in this expanded format.
It has to be exhausting.
It is. The organizers have to carefully map the travel routing to prevent competitive disadvantages.
Like what?
Well, you cannot have one team resting in a single region for 2 weeks while their opponent is forced to crisscross the continent.
Right, dealing with jet lag.
Jet lag, altitude changes, and even variations in air quality.
Wow, air quality. I hadn't considered that.
Yeah, the algorithmic complexity of generating a Jadwal Pertanding that is fair to 48 teams, satisfies 3 host nations, A&D maximizes global television revenue.
It sounds impossible.
It is one of the most complex optimization problems in modern sports history.
I mean, imagine your own schedule for those 5 weeks. If you're a listener, think about how a global event of this magnitude practically forces the entire world to sync its calendars to this specific agenda.
Exactly. The whole world is watching this one tight window.
It's like air traffic control during a rolling blizzard.
That's a perfect analogy.
Right. One delayed flight, one massive weather event shutting down a regional airport, and the entire continental schedule starts to experience cascading failures. Yeah. If a team can't get out of a city due to, say, a hurricane on the eastern seaboard.
Which happens in the summer.
Exactly. The agenda for the entire tournament is immediately threatened.
Which is precisely why the final point in the data we are examining is so critical.
Right, the off-field stuff.
Yeah, the acknowledgement in the source that this tournament will present various interesting facts and dynamics on and off the field.
It almost feels like an understatement.
It is a profound understatement. This raises an important question, though. The 90 minutes of gameplay on the pitch, the visible pariah, is entirely dependent on this invisible high-wire act happening off the field.
So what does this all mean? We've got 48 teams, 3 nations, 5 weeks. I would argue the off-field dynamics are going to completely overshadow the actual matches.
Really? You think so?
I do. When you compress this much humanity into 39 days across the North American continent, the cultural collisions are going to be wild.
Oh, absolutely wild.
What does a city look like when 50,000 passionate fans from distinct global regions collide in a downtown plaza that normally just sees local commuters going to work?
It creates these temporary, hyper-dense micro-cities of international culture.
Right.
You've got linguistic exchanges, the strain on emergency services.
The police, the medics.
Exactly. And the absolute deluge of international media focusing their lenses on localized municipal infrastructure.
Yes.
It places the host cities under a global microscope. And because the agenda is spread across 3 nations, the contrast between how each nation handles that pressure will be stark.
Oh, that is such a good point. You're basically setting up an accidental comparative study in urban management.
Precisely.
If the transit system in a Canadian host city flawlessly moves 80,000 people to a stadium,
Yeah.
but then a transit system in an American host city completely buckles onto the exact same load 2 days later.
That becomes the story.
Yes, that off-field dynamic becomes the global narrative.
Ah.
The logistics become the story, not the sport.
Absolutely. The off-the-field dynamics encompass the entirety of the civic stress test.
A civic stress test.
Yeah. It is the mobilization of thousands of volunteers, private security contractors, sanitation workers, hospitality staff.
All the invisible people holding it together.
Right. They have to maintain the illusion of a seamless pariah. They are the shock absorbers for all that friction we discussed earlier.
It makes you look at those dates, June 11 to July 19, and realize that for those 5.5 weeks, the normal cadence of human life in these host cities is essentially put on hold.
Totally hijacked.
Yeah, the global agenda completely overwrites the local agenda.
Well said.
And the entire world is going to sync its watches to the rhythm of this one massive, sprawling tri-nation machine.
It is a temporary reordering of global attention, dictated entirely by the math of that expanded 48-team roster.
Which kind of leaves me wondering about the long-term trajectory of these mega events.
Where does it end?
Right. We've unpacked the core data today. A historic 48-nation footprint trying to validate its title as the grandest tournament in history.
Yeah.
We've explored the logistical tightrope of simultaneously hosting across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico.
The dissolving of borders.
Exactly. And we've analyzed the grueling 39-day chronological vice of the Jadwal Pertanding Horn, which basically guarantees massive ripple effects both on and off the pitch.
The synthesis of all those points leads to a fascinating, almost philosophical, logistical question for you to mull over.
Let's hear it.
We are analyzing an event so immense it requires an entire continent to absorb its impact. Right?
Yeah.
We are looking at an agenda so complex it demands the synchronization of 3 federal governments.
Right.
So are we currently witnessing the absolute upper limit of human event scaling?
Wow. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Have we hit peak scale?
I mean, if the roster continues to expand in the future as more nations demand entry into this global Parian will, future organizers have to completely redefine what a tournament even is.
Because there's no room left.
Exactly, because eventually the physical limitations of geography, time zones, and human endurance dictate that the world simply becomes too big to fit inside any single scheduled event.
That is a phenomenal puzzle for you all to chew on. At what point does the logistical skeleton simply collapse under the weight of the global celebration?
It's something to watch out for in 2026.
Definitely. Thank you so much for jumping into the mechanics of this with me. It completely changes how I'll view that summer.
It was a pleasure.
And to everyone listening, until next time, keep unpacking the hidden architecture of the world around you.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with all the latest content. Drop a comment below to share your thoughts. Make sure to like and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching.